Greetings and welcome to the Bowling Green First United Methodist Church. We hope that you enjoy what you're about to see, and you can find us on the corner of Broadway and Church Streets at 11 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Or you can find us at bgmethodist.org and on Facebook at Bowling Green First United Methodist Church.
So we've been, the last several weeks, we've been in Habakkuk, which is that weird place. It's one B and 3 Ks in order to spell it. I always got to stop to remind myself I still can't type it right whenever I'm typing it out. We've been looking at that. We've been looking as Habakkuk was a prophet in Judah, right in the middle of one of those times when Israel was both messing things up big time and also being forced into some very uncomfortable places by things going on around them. We call that place to dip. Those are those places that we can't avoid, those hard times we can't avoid getting around. And that was, in fact, the first point that we made is that sometimes we've got to persevere. We can't ignore that. We can't try and gloss over that or say that it's not there. We have to accept that sometimes we hit that really hard place. We hit that dip that we have to go through. But the first step is to realize that it is, in fact, a dip, that we are going to come out on the other side, that there is, for as far as you go down, there's that space to go back up on the other end of it. So we know that we're going to go through that. And then we talk about, in order to do that, for as fast and as crazy as things can seem to move through there, is that sometimes, the best thing we can do is first stop and listen. Listen for what God is saying. And then as we do that, then last week we talked about where God is telling Habakkuk through all of this, he's saying, and then write down what I tell you, and use that because you know I gave that to you, use that as your source of strength. Now you would think that as we get through all of that, that maybe that would be the end of it, and now our problems would begin to be fixed, and we'd be able to come out to the other side of that. I wish I could say that's the case, because the next place we stop along that journey is that God tells Habakkuk, he says, wait for it. I don't like to wait. This is a sign of how little I like to wait. If you don't know what this is, this was, I said there was an alarm on my phone for 11 months for the time when our wedding was supposed to start. That was, because I don't like to wait. And I know there were a number of folks that were out there that were probably getting tired of me being able to tell them right down to the minute how long it was until our wedding got there. But that's because I'm an impatient person at times. I don't like to wait for things. This was one of my ways of coping with that, because I can pull that up, I can look at it, and it would always be a smaller amount of time left to wait than it was the last time I checked. I don't like to wait for things. We live in a society today that doesn't like to wait for things either. We can do all sorts of things instantly. We live in many ways, there are many pieces of our society that are built on instant gratification. Now, that's not all bad, because it's really nice that there are things that I can do where I can look up an answer for something that would have taken me an hour or 2 hours a day or a week before in order to find that answer. I can find it in 30 seconds now. It's kind of nice not to have to spend all that time doing it. And that's okay. The problem with that becomes when instant gratification, instantly being able to do things, becomes a way of life. That's when we begin to have troubles, because that gives us an inflated sense of timing in the real world, because the real world does not work that way. No matter how often I order something off of Amazon and I can get 2-day shipping for free, most of the world really doesn't work that fast. And that's going to be an inflated sense of expectation for when things get there. If I've got to wait longer than 2 days, there's an issue somewhere along the way. I don't like that. Instant gratification is a tool, not a way of life. We use it as a tool, it's okay. If it's a way of life, that's when we've got problems, because that's one of the things that we see Habakkuk dealing with in all of this. Because we started last week in chapter 2 and verse 2, and God is talking to Habakkuk and saying to him, then the Lord answered me and said, write a vision and make it plain upon a tablet so that a runner can read it, or a reader can run with it. We don't know exactly how that last bit gets translated. But the point is, God says, write down what I'm telling you. Write it down so that, for the purpose of, you know exactly what it is that I have said. Then if you get distracted or other things kind of get mixed up in a little bit, or if you don't remember it right, you can look at that and know just what it is that I have told you, and that's a good place to start. But then God goes on into verse 3. This is where I start to get a little bit worried, because God says this: there is still a vision for the appointed time. So far, so good. It testifies to the end. It does not deceive. Still good. I like this. If it delays, wait for it. That's the part I don't like. For it is surely coming, and it will not be late. God is saying, my timing is better. Be patient. I don't like to be patient, but that's what God is saying. Be patient, because that time is coming. That's the hard part of this. We have to wait. Sometimes as we're coming through this, we get to a point in there where we can do everything right, but we're still going to have to wait. That's not the easy part of this. That is the hard part. That's when more than anything else, we have to remember God said, write it down, so we can remember what He has told us, so that we can make it through that hard time. Because then Habakkuk goes on to begin to explain, what does it look like when we don't do this? What does it look like when we don't do these things? He starts that in verse 4, but he gets into the meat of it in verse 5. He says, moreover, wine betrays an arrogant man. He doesn't rest. He opens his jaws like the grave, like death. He is never satisfied. He gathers all nations to himself and collects all peoples for himself. Now, the first part of that verse is where we can get caught. Moreover, wine betrays. We can get caught up there, but we need to look at what is it betraying? Betraying an arrogant man. The dude already has a flaw in there. He's overconfident. There's already where the problem is going to be. He is overconfident in what is going on around him. The wine betraying him. Wine does what wine has done for eons upon eons. It makes you think you're stronger than you really are sometimes. If you get too much of it, that's the problem with there. If you're an arrogant person and overconfident in your own abilities, you're going to have trouble. Now, wine, it can be literally that, or it can be a job, friends, family, where you live, where you grew up, all of those. Anything can be the thing that betrays us, that sets us down that road to failure if we are overconfident in our own abilities. We talked about that the very first Sunday that we were in Habakkuk, where God says, don't put your faith and your trust in yourself. That leads to failure. Put your faith and your trust in me. Because that's where you find your way through this dip. When I was in a couple of stories, when I was in college, I'm a music major, so I went to a lot of auditions. Especially once I got older, the auditions really weren't that big of a deal. But we would be sitting out there watching as other people would go in and audition, and we would watch some of these freshman kids come in to audition. We called them kids. We weren't more than 2 or 3 years older than them to begin with, but we were the older students around, so we called them kids. They would come in to audition, and there were some of them that we could immediately tell where they came from and some of the things that they had been told growing up. Because we listened to them. In our case, it was singing, but it could be playing, and it could be anything. It could be sports. It could be anything. It could be folks that have got some really great skills in other areas. It could be any number of things, but you know how this story goes. They would come in and they would start singing, and we would watch their whole performance. And we'd immediately be able to know they came from someplace where they were a big fish in a small pond. Because we'd be able to look at it and go, then we knew that they had been told, at least throughout high school, probably through all their life, that they were really good. That they were really very, very, very good. In some cases that was true. In most cases they were very good for where they were. They were a big fish in a small pond. They got up there and they thought they were going to be a big fish in a bigger pond, and they couldn't handle it when they weren't. Some of them never made it past the audition because they didn't get into the groups they were trying out for. You're a big fish in a small pond and you know it and you're overconfident about that, and then you don't make it into the group you're trying out for, that's a hard place to be. Some of those kids would make it into those ensembles, but then they wouldn't do the work they needed to do to be able to maintain it. You could watch them as they wouldn't stop, they wouldn't listen, they wouldn't wait for that time to develop, because whether we're talking sports, whether we're talking music, whether we're talking work, whether we're talking academics, sometimes you got to wait for some things to develop before you can take that next step. It takes time, and they didn't want to wait for any of that. That's a hard place to be some of them would learn that lesson and eventually they would make changes. Some of them never learned that lesson. And it was really hard to watch them. That was a story that I watched, but on the other hand, there's a time where I had been that dude, where I had been that guy. When I came out of seminary, fresh out of seminary, I'd been a pastor for a few years already. I thought I had this worked out. I knew what was going on. I get to my first church after seminary, and I get out there, and things didn't go the way that I thought they should. Now, there were a number of other issues and problems that we had to deal with, but it got to be about 7 months in, and I was that close to burnout. And for those of you that have been around the Methodist Church for a while, you know that we move once a year. The end of June or first part of July. If you're moving at another time other than that, that means there is a problem. It was February and I was moving. And then it would be 3 years before I get back into the pulpit then after that. Because I learned that lesson the hard way. What overconfidence can do. And it's a lesson I still have to remind myself of on a regular basis so I don't come back into that same place. Because we can be overconfident. When we're overconfident, we miss things. We miss things, and Habakkuk goes on. Now Habakkuk is talking about when you're overconfident, or the arrogant man like Habakkuk is talking about, to get to the place where you are, you're going to run over a lot of people or a lot of things in the middle of that. And he's saying here, he says, won't they suddenly rise up to bite you? Those who frighten you will awake and you will become plunder for them. He's saying that at some point, one of those things you have run over in your haste to get where you are, in your overconfidence and your arrogance, is going to come up and bite you, and it's going to teach you a really hard lesson. And that's not the place where we want to be. Habakkuk is writing and trying to get us to remember that there is a better way of doing things. As we look at this and as we kind of make our way through this, Habakkuk is trying to teach a lot of really important lessons to us. And he's trying to help us get through when we get to those places where life gets hard and we find ourselves in that bottom place trying to figure out what do we do next. And so we've talked about all these ways of getting through that. Then you hear some folks will talk about, well, so one of the ways that you get through that is that you become the best. You become the very best. You use that time when you're in that place to become the very best in the world at whatever it is you're doing. Now, you may remember I mentioned Seth Godin a couple weeks ago. He wrote a book called The Dip about this, and he says sometimes we can overshoot that. If we're looking at trying to be the best, sometimes we can overshoot that. He says there's a better way of looking at that. Best as in, best for them right now, based on what they believe and what they know, and in the world as in their world, the world they have access to. He says, if you want to get through this, sometimes you can overshoot if you're trying to be the best in the world. That is, sometimes you need to be the best right where you are. In your world, in that place, at that time, you need to get your own house in order first so that you can come out the other side of there. We put that in different terms, and we can say rather than becoming the best, we can use different set of words for that make more sense, especially for us. We can be the people that God made us to be. That's what God wants for us throughout this whole process. Is He wants us to be the people that He has made us to be. That's why He tells us when we get to that place when we start going down, He doesn't leave us alone, but He says, I'm going to be there with you. It's why He tells Habakkuk as he's coming through there, first He says, you aren't going to get around this. You've got to deal with this. And number two, you need to stop and listen to what it is I'm going to say, and then write it down so that you know I am with you and it doesn't get lost. That message, that vision doesn't get lost as you go through this, but you've got it right there in front of you. And then he said, you may have to wait for it a while, but nowhere along the way does God say, I'm going to leave you alone in that. I'm still going to be with you as you come through that place and as you come out on the other side. The best thing we can do is to be who God made us to be. Not trying to be anything other than that, but to be who God made us to be, especially in those hardest places that we find ourselves, so that we can come out on the other side. These things, persevere, stop and listen, write it down, wait for it. Those are the things that begin to help us come through this. That we're listening to God, listening for His voice, and paying attention to the vision, to the understanding that He gives us so that we can come out on the other side. And the thing we have that goes that goes the best for us through all of this. Last week we ended in the same place. We're ending in the same place this week, and that was in verse 14. But the land will be full of the knowledge of the Lord's glory, just as water covers the sea. We know that for no matter how deep this gets, we know that God is still greater than all of that. That no matter how big our problem is to us, and it is big to us, and that's what matters, it is big to us, it is hard for us, it is difficult for us, God is still bigger than that, and He doesn't leave us alone as we go through there. He still is there, His power is there, we can put our faith and our trust in Him as we come through this hard place and begin to find our way through to the other side of that death. As we go from here today, let's take that message with us that we need to remind ourselves of, but also that we can share with folks around us to say that there is hope beyond that place where you find yourself, and that there is still more that can come out on the other side. Let's take that message out and share it with the world around us, and let us do that in Christ's name. Amen.